Hey everybody, I'm here with Lionel Alexander, founder and CEO of Nerdy Bear Studios, another founder and CEO like myself. Thank you so much for stopping by today, giving us some of your precious time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, your product, and let people get to know you.
Sure. Like you said, Lionel Alexander. I am the creative mind behind Nerdy Bear Studio. Um, the whole idea behind our studio is to do something different in a space that seems it's creative, but it can be stagnant at the same time. We wanted to tell a lot of Black and people of color stories in a space that you didn't hear that from Black and people of color. Um, that being said, the whole idea behind Nerdy Bear was, like I said, just to be as innovative as possible, um, and use my talents to create
That's awesome. I know just from following you for the last few months that you guys are working on a project called Hamsterdam. You want to tell us a little bit about that and what's coming and maybe what some of the obstacles and opportunities might be to getting that made.
that. Yeah, sure. We're actually working on five projects.
Wow.
It's insane.
Holy smokes.
But the first one slated for release is Amsterdam. Essentially, it started with a trip that we fell in love with the city of Amsterdam.
uh,
And, as any creative would know, once you get started on a project, it just rolls out and you want to tell this insane story. So we were like, okay, you're on vacation, you want to see everything, you want to just go, 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 go.
yeah.
And the idea for the infinite runner came from that, so we thought of what if we made it like a perspective shifting type of game, and you know from there it just keeps evolving and keeps evolving. And hopping into the indie dev life, you know what you think that it's going to be like,
Yeah.
but it's never that. You never can plan. We did as much research as we can. We followed creators and stories like Thomas Brush, which is insanely successful, and doing it by yourself, just starting off, it's a big scary monster that you just don't know what you're getting into. But as far as Amsterdam, we basically went back to the drawing board probably two or three times, from the original idea, because we wanted it to be just a infinite runner. But then we threw in the 2D 3D perspective shifting, um,
Cool.
and then even the musical elements are supposed to play a huge part in that. We hired
Love
on
that.
yeah, a composer for that. And with all these changes, basically we would have to go back for the third time to a slate to where we can get a deadline, production, and cost. And uh, this is kind of the final picture because we have a team assembled,
Hmm.
but everybody's just on hiatus until we can get that slated.
Yeah, I mean that all makes sense to me, and I definitely appreciate what you're talking about it being a journey. A little bit of just to compare, background wise, when I started my company in 2016, it was just me, and I had this idea for a science fiction series, and I really wanted to build this game that was kind of more of a narrative-driven action adventure console PC game, which is a pretty ambitious endeavor to start with, and
Right.
so, I wrote up all these design documents and I actually pitched it to a console dev in at E3 in 2017. And the response was, okay, we like the idea and, maybe we consider supporting it, but, where's your team? How are you going to do this? And so that's why I started, like you said, going back to the drawing board, figure out those intermediate steps. And that's sort of where Player Two came from, is just from my own experiences and my talking to my friends, where were the holes, where were the problems in connecting gamers, and especially in this last year, everything's been so isolated. Trying to figure out a way to bring people together. So I totally get what you mean about going back to the drawing board, reiteration, trying to stretch the legs of the company, to build it out. Yeah. But it sounds to me, and in my expert opinion, like you're doing everything right. But I want to talk a little bit because I think it's a learning, it's a learning experience for everybody, about different challenges that we face, whether it's money or finding talent and that kind of thing. But there are challenges that not everybody faces equally, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've faced in the industry, and if you feel that your experiences have been shaped by who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, you've talked about telling Black and people of color stories that really resonate and tell us an angle of story that's not currently out there. And I think there's a lot to be learned from that and a lot to admire about that. And I kind of just want to learn more about your inspiration for that, and how you hope to accomplish that, and what other people can do to support that endeavor.
Gotcha. Yeah, this story and journey of mine is a unique one in the space, being that people of color worldwide, we enjoy games just like anybody else, and stories, if they are about people of color, can be for everybody. We've seen it with Disney, where they take fairy tales and they turn it into these magical, princess tales. So essentially, that's the whole mission behind it. Because I remember growing up, I would watch things like Fox Kids or Kids WB, a lot of animated stories, or even playing games, and I wouldn't see people like myself in that.
Yeah.
My heroes didn't look like me, which is okay. Um, but I would also like for representation to represent something that I love. So in that, it's a conversation that I feel makes people uncomfortable at times, and that's understandably so. But it needs to be had at the
Yeah.
same time, because it's not anything that is going to change without people talking about it. Uh, the whole idea, I guess, of bringing games and animation that represents everybody, I feel like tells a fuller picture of stories and narratives worldwide, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the goal that I was set out to be. Although we're Black owned and we want to tell Black stories, it's not just Black stories; it's all people of color.
Right.
When hiring and looking for our staff, we purposely looked for as much diversity as we could get, and you know, in a space where you'll see a team, uh, and it's mostly 90% white guys. It's kind of hard to tell a Black story from that. Not to say that white people don't know Black stories,
Sure.
but it's different when it comes from the culture.
Different kind of authenticity.
Yeah, instead of an outside perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that, and I love that. My wife is Brazilian, actually, and so I understand a bit about different cultures, and not really seeing representation. And one of my hopes for the gaming industry is that because it's still relatively so young, you look at film and TV being over 100 years old, or written stories or spoken word millennia old. You know what I mean? Games are, it's still pretty young. Some of the original guys to do it are still in the industry. So that coupled with gaming tends to be more of a blind medium. You know what I mean? Like when you're playing with guys, you can make friends with people across the planet, playing multiplayer games,
Yep.
without some of those preconceptions. And so I think I really hope that there's a lot of opportunity, to tell a variety of stories, you know what I mean, from a variety of perspectives, and have them be taken just as the stories, you know what I mean, for people to see them without any kind of, lens that they, may previously have. So, anything that I think anybody can do to, help empower what you're doing is just phenomenal, and we all admire and take our cues from your plan. So I really appreciate you, man. I want to talk a little bit about one of our goals with Player Two is to sort of level that playing field. Obviously, you know, with the industry still being kind of young, there's some established, you know, titans in the industry, the console manufacturers or the big publishers, that kind of thing. And so while there are many kinds of or numbers of indie developers, it's definitely a hard road, you know what I mean, for us to raise capital, find talent, you know, and get off the ground. You know, there's definitely a big gap between the triple A's and then us. So, you know, like I said, part of what we're trying to do with Player Two is provide a platform for a little more even footing. You know what I mean? Get gamers into the same space, create an opportunity for indie devs to connect with gamers in a way that's not, you know, bouncing around between different platforms, trying to hustle social media and whatnot. So, you know, tell us what you would like to see in a platform, you know, like what we're trying to do with Player Two. You know, what would help you try and, you know, connect with your user base?
I think I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. The part of the research that we did when trying to get this off the ground. God, thank you to my wife. She's the PR person for Nerdy.
Yeah, yeah. She's great, by the way.
Yeah,
She
she's
does a
amazing.
great job. Yeah,
She's amazing.
yeah,
You know, having not to do the hustle of trying to find that direct audience, like for example, um, Amsterdam or Games for Black Girls. If you take those games and you look at who's playing them, you can market directly to those people. You're 10 steps ahead of having to, you know, okay, we have to create the game. You know, I'm worried about the creation part, but actually getting it out in sales and marketing, if we can go straight at who's interested first,
yeah,
that's amazing. Um, and I feel like that to me is one of the biggest parts in this dev journey is creating a way to get the product to who's playing it. Of course, we want as many people as we can, but having that set base, at least we can have like a milestone to shoot for, as well as finding talent. A huge part of this is we have very specified things in creating these games, like Amsterdam. I could put out something on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Reddit, and say, hey, I need a composer for this style of music, be as specific as possible, but then I'll get 100 different people coming at me, you know.
yeah,
Whereas I feel like if I say, okay, I need electro pop, and I know there's a group here that I can directly target to,
hmm
that makes my life easier. You know, I don't have to go through 1,000 trap hop artists. I can find that one guy that has that one sound. Makes my life way easier.
yeah. That's definitely one of our goals. I mean, you know, whenever we're trying, I mean, I just know from my experience, I'm more of like a natural kind of introverted guy. So doing the whole social media scene is like, whew, yeah, it's a lot for me, and it's a big learning curve and everything, you know. So, you know, I definitely want to put together a platform that's really by gamers for gamers. You know what I mean? And it's a place where it's kind of all in one. You got the social media aspect, you got the friend matchmaking aspect, you've got the community support aspect, and that way, you know, we can sort of bring together a community that's already thriving. You know what I mean? Gamers are so passionate about their games. You know what I mean? And so I think just to empower that, you know, collective community, you know, is something, you know, we really aspire to do, and that's what, you know, links back to developers. Is the more the communities together, the easier hopefully it is for developers to access that community, and you know, and especially interface with them in meaningful ways. You know what I mean? You know, be able to offer surveys or do live chats with consumers, or, you know, have that one interface where, you know, your social media and your, say if you have a Kickstarter going, or if you want to link to your actual, where you're releasing your game, your platform, you know, it's all easily accessible. So, you know, that's definitely something we hope for. But, you know, what I want to say is that, we're learning here because it's a service. We always want to hear what people think. So like you and other developers, streamers, communities, if you have ideas for, hey, you know what, if this was in here, it would make my life easier. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear. We're here to make life easier. Great ideas and great perspective, and I hope to keep it coming. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about where the company's headed and what people can look forward to with you over the next X number of months?
Okay, so part of the reason why we decided to go on hiatus, we wanted to make a structured deadline plan. We have a 5-year plan.
Wow.
Essentially, yes.
That's great.
Business, right?
Yeah, but that's awesome.
The boring part.
Yeah, right.
So essentially what we want to do is, like I said, we're working 5 projects all at the same time. The reason why all of this is in development instead of doing one by one by one, it's a shared universe among all games.
Awesome.
So sort of like the Avengers.
Right? Yeah, go Marvel with it.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole point is to tell this long story throughout the games. Now, the games, most of the gameplay is not related at all. We have infinite runners, rhythm-based, FPS, RPGs. But essentially, each game is connected in some way to the one prior and the one coming ahead.
Yeah.
So over the next 5 years, our goal is to roll out this universe, which would be the base of the MBS universe. And from there, we would start venturing into animation.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we want to do, not just classic animation 2D, but also, 3D, children's programming, stuff like that.
I love it. That just sounds brilliant. What a plan. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yes, thank you, Precious Gem. Instagram Live.
Awesome.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, it's awesome, Marvel." But yeah, so the whole plan is to create this sort of gaming universe that is based off of the characters, the lore and the land of these 5 games. And
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So we started in 2018, and this has been just pretty much a learning phase up until this point. And we're pretty much greenlit on everything. Finances, the structure, how we're going to pay everybody, because that's important.
Right.
And essentially, we were slated to release a demo for Amsterdam June. With the hiatus, it'll be pushed back to, I want to say, December. And that's kind of the wonderful part about being indie, is I don't have to be on anybody's deadline but my own.
That's right.
So I would say look for us to pick everything back up and, have something ready by December.
Awesome. Now, will you be continuing on, social media? I've enjoyed following you and following your progress and whatnot. So we can still, follow you on, Twitter, Instagram, wherever.
Absolutely. The whole thing is to build this community, and, we've gained pretty good traction so far with putting stuff out. We'll be talking about, probably less NBS stuff and other projects. We won't have updates until, like I said, about December.
Sure.
It will still be active. Melanated Velma will be very active. That is basically it'll be like a magazine for NBS.
Awesome.
And if anybody wants to reach out, we're still very much active. Please forgive the
no worries.
Yeah, all day with this stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
But absolutely, we're still active. We're not shut down. We're not in jeopardy. I know when we put out the message, a lot of people were concerned, like, "Oh no, yeah, we're not going anywhere."
No, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
it's just the life of the indie. You know what I mean? It's going to have those ups and downs, those learning curves. You got to adapt. It's never a straight path. So I totally get you. All right. I mean, I'm really happy we had the opportunity to talk today and get your perspective. You know, really look forward to hearing more about Amsterdam and later this year. But look forward to following you too. You know, I hope you'll be a part of the platform of Player Two when it releases and talk to you further. But thank you so much for speaking today and telling us a little bit about yourself, Lionel.
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful and so fun.
Awesome. My pleasure.
All right.